In honor of MLK Day, we want to talk about some of the best conscious rappers from the 90s and the songs that made us love. Let's get it.
Books, rhymes, and life.
Welcome to Grown Man Bars, the best show on hip hop with the old heads in America. Where using turn signals while driving is completely optional. While you're with us, go ahead and chest bump those like and subscribe buttons and ring that championship bell. I'm your man, Chad. With me, as always, is a man so smooth he paid for sex once but got a refund. Big Absolute was buzzing cousin.
What? I mean, I did get my money back, so there's that. I guess
Tonight,
that works.
Tonight, I'm going to have to shift gears tonally because tonight we're going to talk about the rappers who really had a message in their music in the 90s. Some of the music they were making, some of the songs that they were doing that really spoke to us and to hip hop in general. And we're going to run through them and talk about why. And we're going to start with X Clan, ADAMBA. Tell me about this.
Oh man, Adam.
He was a literary person. You know, as a literary person, I dug this song. So
I know you did. I know you did. I know you got into this one. I know you got into lyrically. The funny thing about X Clan is when you think of X Clan, you see these dark brothers, African unks, medallions. They came out with the staffs. They was on that real Back to Africa movement. This song right here, thing I love about X Clan is they educated me. I learned things about people I had no idea about. Marcus Garvey, Nat Turner. Just in their music, they made you look up these names and they were a walking history book. But back in the 90s, we weren't getting that in school. And these brothers made you search for knowledge. I miss music that made me search for knowledge. No disrespect to nothing nobody's doing now, but I didn't need a song to teach me how to cut an eight. You know what I'm saying? I knew how to do that before we started making songs about that. This music here, it let me know that there were people on this earth from BC to AD that looked like me, that had a royalty about them, and people did things in history that we didn't know about.
yeah, if you
If
haven't heard
you
it, definitely listen to it. The historic elements in it to me as the Black culture rising from their ancestors and the royalty of it all, it really makes this song for me. To me, the history hit so hard because of the storytelling that passed down from generation to generation, and rappers are just another version of storytellers in a way. And the history he was talking, the history he was making as he was talking about it, such a significant kind of thing to me as a literary person. I absolutely love that song every time I hear it. It's one that you have to be in the mood for because you
yeah,
have to think about that song. You don't want to let that song
yeah.
just blow by you. You got to be in the mood to listen to it.
Yeah, you got to get into it, and you got to be ready for it. And I guess that's the biggest tip I can give to anybody who's never heard it. You got to be in a mental space to be ready to hear it, because we're weaving cosmic energy. We're weaving on double entendres and things about God and man and spirituality as well as political. Like it's a lot to take in, but it's a ride. I suggest you put your seatbelt on and strap up and go on and take the ride.
Let's go to number two. Pretty obvious. What else you don't have to convince anybody that a song called Fight the Power was about
Oh man.
what it was about.
Yo, the crazy thing about this is P was they were in a different bag than everybody else, and they always has been. But Chuck lyrically was just different. Chuck was a dude that you met at the corner store, and he was that old head that hit you with knowledge that would say things that you wouldn't catch right away. Then you come back and be like, oh, okay, got you. That's the way Chuck D rap. But when you listen to Fight the Power, I don't think there's any more line more synonymous or infamous or famous, as you will, as the Elvis was a hero to most, but he never meant shit to me. See, the sucker was straight up racist and claim, and then Flav came in with the mother, him and John Wayne.
Love
This was
Flav.
the tone. This was the tone of a movement of police brutality, of crooked cops on both coasts. Understand, this is not just a East Coast problem, a South problem. This was in the 90s, the war on drugs and the war on gangs and the war on poverty. All those wars were on neighborhoods and areas and cities that hip
Yes,
hop
it's the Giuliani era.
yeah, hip hop needed. You know what I'm saying? Like it fed, it birthed, it became from. So when we talk about these rappers telling their stories. This is the height of frustration of police beatings left and right after Rodney King. Like this is the height of that. And so this would have been the 90s version of Black Lives Matter. This would have been the 90s version of Can't Breathe. You know what I'm saying? Like this song would have been that soundtrack now because they touched on everything. And PE was one of those groups that ironically, this song got a ton of airplay. So you wouldn't think it would from mainstream, from
No,
mainstream media,
one
but it got a
one
ton.
thing one thing I was gonna say about it was just the construction of it made it a commercial, a song
Yeah.
that had commercial appeal. Because fight the power, that's the I guess the problem you run into when you have a message like that and you give it a good spin so that people like it. Some people will take it and use it for, to fight some other power and not really understand what you're saying. But it was enough to what I always say all of these songs were really good about, and all these artists were really good about is if you're going to educate people, and all of them say this at some point in their careers, they always, if you're going to educate people, you got to sneak it in there. You
Yeah, you
can't
can't come
just like,
direct.
you can't come direct and be like, hey, this song is about you getting smarter because a lot of people will shut down on that. So you have to sneak it in there. And I always thought a lot of these artists were good at that. And this was another song that was good at that because it sounded sonically like a party song. That was something that I
Up
thought
tempo beat. Yeah.
Bob Marley was really good at. Bob Marley's music always sounded like good party music, but the lyrics were completely opposite. The lyrics were very political, very socio-political, and I felt like PE did the same thing with this, and I thought the song was just so well put together for everything it had to accomplish. I think it did. Alright, so we'll move on to the next one, a little bit in the same vein, but man, such an artistic and beautiful song. Uh I'll admit to this. I first got into this group because of Tupac. If you remember
Huh?
old school when he said back when De La Soul
Yeah.
was putting potholes in the game, and I was like,
Well,
let me go
yeah.
check out De La Soul. And I did, and I loved him like everybody else. And that's how I got into him. But Stakes is High. I'm so glad you picked that one because I haven't listened to it in a long time. And I listened to it, oh man, I listened to it at least probably a dozen times while I was at the gym. And that song, let me just read one little quotable I took out of it.
Get
And
it,
and
get
then
it. I
and
bet
then
it's
I'll
the
turn
thing.
it
I
over
bet
to
it's the
you.
one I love. I bet it's the one I love. Get it?
Control means using both hands in my land, where it's all about the cautious living, migrating to a higher form of consequence, compliments of struggling that shouldn't be notable. Man, every word I say should be a hip hop quote. Like, I'll turn it over to you, man, but the way he was able to mix in the different topics that he mixed in, the way he mixed them in and weaved them in kind of as seamlessly as he did was super impressive. But De La Soul, man.
Only thing I'll say about this track, and this is another one. De La Soul was a group that was not supposed to be as dope as they were in hip hop. They were three dudes that you were literally were supposed to make fun of and ask them why they were here. And then they grabbed some microphones and you did what you were supposed to do. You know, that thing that they say when grown people talking, you shut the, that's what you were supposed to do. Because when De La showed up, it's bars. And De La made you feel something you enjoyed. Your soul felt good with De La. The thing that I loved about this song, and the reason why I chose this song was they were fed up with the direction hip hop was going, and we hadn't even got there yet. You play Stakes is High in today's environment, and it makes way more sense because
I
then it's
thought about
25 years of buildup. You know what I'm saying? It's like
I
almost
thought
30
about
years of anger.
I thought about how old that song was when I was listening to it today. I was like, how old it was and how relevant it is right now.
Now, right? The chorus was, basically, I'm sick of them bees shaking asses. I'm sick of talking about blunts, sick of Versace glasses. Get back to the bar. Let's get back to what hip hop is. Let's get back to culture. Let's get back to life and graffiti and DJing. And that's what the song's about, man. And they was like all these artists that are coming out now just making money. The formula is big booties, blunts, bees, hoes. You know what I'm saying? Like it was the formula. And it's no different today. The machine that writes checks have said 40 years. This is, if you want me to write a check, it's got to be way more of this than that. And this song kind of fought against that. And that's what I loved about it. And the
Yeah,
title of the song is amazing. Stakes is high. It's high because look at what I'm saying in this song. Probably won't get no airplay, probably won't get no radio play. We probably won't, get the spins, but I'm still daring to do this anyway. Loved it.
yeah, this song came out right about the time that we talked about in our last live show that I say when the commercialization of hip hop, when those bigger corporations, the bigger record labels found out that hip hop wasn't a fad, that it was a legitimate music genre that was going to last, they decided to jump in and do to it what they did to rock and roll by watering it down and getting it to as many people as they can possibly get it to. And
Hmm.
this was seeing that coming and seeing what was going on and speaking out against it as well. And just another beautiful song on the list, man. And I'll go get to the next one just by going ha 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 holla. And Mr. Lyrics stick to your ribs, Talib Kweli, get by. Everybody can relate to that song. Another one that felt like a different kind of song than what it really was. The vibe to it, sonically, it sounded like it's something that it wasn't. He snuck a lot of knowledge into a song that was just good to ride to.
This morning, I woke up feeling brand new. I jumped up, feeling my highs and my lows and my soul and my goals just to stop smoking and stop drinking. I've been thinking I got my reasons just to get it literally is a testament of how to get through life when it's bad. All of the reasons you got to fold, all of the reasons that you got to give up, quit, do the wrong things. This was an anthem of for him personally. This all this I do all these things, man, just to get by. You know what I'm saying? I stay here with it. I stay focused on what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to accomplish. Talib is one of those artists, man, that most people don't even know it. And I'm sad for you. I
That's a
really am.
shame. He believes in what he says. Like he's in some of those there are some artists that say a lot of things that I'll go with you, but I'm not sure if I believe you believe what you say.
Right. Yeah, 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 that part. Yeah.
But like Tupac to me was like the master at that. Tupac made me believe for sure that he believed what he said. But Talib's another one of those rappers. I'm not saying he's on a Tupac level at that, but because he's much more calm, a much milder guy, but he's one of those people that's confident enough that makes me believe that he believes what he says. And that credibility means a lot to music because that's not something an artist just automatically has. Like he makes me believe him.
Yeah. We talk about top five dead or alive, and we've had plenty of lists. If you've never been introduced to him, you don't know anything about him. Like we can give you all kind of songs all day. But if you don't know anything about him and you listen to this song, pay attention to the second verse. It's not the lyrics that I want you to pay attention to. It's the rhyme scheme. It's the way he melodically rhymes and rolls this beat and how many words he stuffs with no filler and the tempo changes. This is artistry at its finest because we don't do that these days. Many people have never done it to the level he does it, but we don't do that these days. These days we're pretty set on 16th, 8th time and just riding it out. Oh,
But that's another funny thing about some of those art. Like this wasn't really a Talib beat.
no,
This was not a beat that you would have heard and go, "Oh yeah, Talib would kill that." He was doing something really different. So it was really cool to see his lyrical style, like his writing be so much different. Like he knew he had to do something different with it, but he was like, "I'm going to do it my way."
pretty sure it
And
was
his
a,
way
a
works.
Kanye beat, but I mean, I think it
I
was a
think so.
Kanye beat. But again, two people you would have never expected to do something together. And wow, like Kanye was on the remix. And if you think you love the regular version, the remix adds Kanye and Busta, and we're at a whole different, and Most Def, I believe, we're at a whole different level at that point. Like a whole different level at that point. But yeah, man, get by. Wow.
All right, so we'll switch to another one that I'm just going to turn over to you because I know it's going to make you spaz out. KRS-One, my philosophy. BA, go, sir.
Let us begin. Where, why, or when. So for those of you who don't know Chris, as I call him, those of you who don't know anything about Chris, KRS-One is an MC, not a rapper, not a hip hop artist. KRS-One's an MC, and he's from an era of MCs where every song, every verse, every bar was to prove you were the best spitter, period. Now you take that and you put that in an educator's body because he's also, as he puts it, a teacher, a poet, a scholar, right? Right? The man is extremely intelligent, but my philosophy, it's hip hop Socrates explained in just its purest form. And if you could take Socrates and put it into hip hop, my philosophy would be that. I mean, it's, Socrates is a philosopher. Stay with me. But his theories, the way KRS-One explains the culture, because that's what my philosophy is. It's a song dedicated to the culture and all of it. What we don't know, what we should know, what'll happen if we keep not knowing, like all the way through. The man was flawless with what some would say elementary bars. Like they weren't very intricate, not a lot of flips, lot. It was straightforward bars. We are on this show. We talk about fluff, filler, bars, and the dialect. I don't think we use that word often. The dialect in which he spit. It was like he was teaching a philosophy class.
I have always respected KRS-One because of how he carried himself, because of the poet, the philosopher, the thinker, the rapper, the artist. He always treated hip hop and his lifestyle with reverence and respect and a seriousness that I really appreciated from him. And I always just enjoyed listening to him speak. So I was definitely a fan of this song. And we're gonna move to the next one. Mr. Common, God, Common Sense. I'm always a big fan of Common, but BA, what you think about this one? Why was this your pick?
Gaining one's definition. That is the acronym he used for God, gaining one's definition. And he went on a journey on this one. He went searching for answers. And we see that in books. We see that in main characters in stories and movies and, the wise one or you searching on a journey. But in hip hop, the best ones, when they go on that journey, they take you with them and you see it all. Like you're on the same journey, you're on the same path, folks. You're on the same playing field. This song made me a Common fan. Those of you don't know, before there was Common, he was part of another little thing called Common Sense. Like he dropped the stance, and it was him and another guy, whatever. But this was the transition. This is where Common found himself in. Now, being from Chicago, this wasn't the style most hip hop coming out of Chicago. He was very different than most of the rap that came out of Chicago at the time in the 90s, especially. He was very about knowledge, about culture, about self, about spirituality. Common was very good at that.
Common is really good at word efficiency. He's one of the better storytellers in rap, but he does it because he uses fewer words for you to understand what he's trying to say. Common doesn't need 30 words when he can make three work, and he'll do that. And that's what makes him so poetic when he raps. He
Yeah.
definitely did this on this song. And I think you're right. This is like, that coming out like, hey, I can do this and I'm going to keep doing this for a while. So if y'all like this, come on with me.
That's really what it was. Like, this is me, this is who I am. Come on with it. Boom, for sure.
Now, this last one came out, I think, in 1992. And so for me, I was still young, but just coming into myself and just getting old enough to be able to see the world around me. And being from a small southern town, I don't know if any of you know anything about small southern towns, but sometimes they can be difficult places to live in. And I was just starting to see the world around me and try to understand it as a young teenager. And this song dropped. And man, Tennessee from Arrested Development spoke to me on a level that I think it was just the right song, what they call Kairos, the right word at the right time for me. That was one of those songs that I needed. It was what I needed to hear. I think Thelonious Monk had a song that said, "Ugly beauty is the truth when you need to hear it the most, but you want to hear it the least." You know what I'm saying? And I think this is one of those songs for me, and that's why it was always so powerful for me. You let me drink, that consequential line, like you let me drink, and I am still thirsty. I mean, and the beat drops out and it's just, and I am still thirsty. And like, man, that song hit so hard to me on emotion, on an emotional level, that I really felt the pain and the celebration and the frustration and all the emotions in that song. It was such a beautiful, beautiful song from a writing standpoint, from a musical standpoint, everything, man. What you think about that one?
Okay, let me get this together. I listened to this song about 3 days ago, which is why it was fresh on my mind for the list. And it has a couple different meanings to me now than then. I got family in Nashville, Tennessee. There's parts where he's got a line where he says, Lord, it's obvious we got a relationship. We talk to each other every night and day. And although you're superior over me, we talk to each other in a friendship way. To try to struggle, if you've never struggled with understanding a loss or your place in this world or your place in anything, this was your song. This man struggled with not just loss, but his friends being lost mentally, people around him being lost mentally, not seeing the same things he's seen, and he doesn't have a superiority complex about it. He's actually asking God, like, why you give me this? Like, why? Like, there's actually a line that says, Lord, why did you enlighten me without the enlightenment of all my brothers? Like, why would you just give this to me and not to them?
Yeah.
So we could still stay, friends. We could still stay like we're here.
Books, rhymes, and life.